Hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of 5 Minutes of Lean. This one's actually a redo of an earlier one on power of metrics. So, got some feedback that we can do better. So, this is a shot at trying to do better. So, what we're going to go ahead and talk about in this session is metrics. So, unintended consequences of metrics, false positive of metrics. We're going to have a little pop quiz talking about Hawthorne Effect, and then we're going to wrap it up with how you apply it. So starting with unintended consequences. So as you're developing metrics or publishing metrics or using metrics within your teams or your business, you have to understand what behavior it's going to drive. And is there a possibility that it could drive the unintended behavior? And I'll tell you a quick story here about an example where this has happened. So some states started measuring mortality rate of cardiovascular surgery. The intention was that more people would be going to the better surgeons, thus saving lives. What ended up actually happening is those higher ranked surgeons started denying high risk patients, sending them somewhere else or sending them somewhere where there was no care. So the mortality rate went up because in order to preserve their metric, doctors were not treating those high risk patients. So it was well intended. We want more people going to the higher ranked doctors, but the unintended consequence is what surfaced. So you have to pay attention as you're utilizing a metric that it's not doing that. Next one I want to talk about is false positive. So this could be false positive, false negative. I'm going to give a sample of false positive. So as you're looking at metrics, you want to ensure that your opportunity is equal. So a lot of times in our business, we want to look at things annual, quarterly, monthly, things like that. And some things make sense, but a lot of things don't because the opportunity is not equal. So I tell a story about a furnace, and in an area where it gets cold in the winter, you have to think about if you have a metric that says my furnace is breaking 10 times a month in January, and then you go ahead and you change some things and fix some things, and you come back and say, well, it didn't break 10 times in July. You could have a metric there that says it's better. The reality is it's not because your opportunity is not the same. It was running a lot longer, more hours in January than it was in July. So your opportunity is not equal. So as you're thinking about metrics, you have to make sure those opportunities are equal. So now on the next piece, and when I've done this in person, this has been a pop quiz to try and get some engagement. And I chuck out, some sort of corny prize, but we're not going to do that here, obviously, because it's a video. But just want to still touch on it because I think it's an interesting topic and something that you may want to go look up. So Hawthorne Effect, and you could Google this. There's some interesting articles out there and a lot of philosophy around this particular topic, the Hawthorne Effect. And so it's basically high level it's the measurement itself is changing the data. So the way that the data is being collected or measured could be affecting the data. And they'll give a lot of examples about observations. So maybe, you're being watched very closely to measure the data, and that changes your behavior. So it's not your everyday behavior, it's an adjusted behavior because of the measurement device. So just want to throw that out there so that as you're looking at metrics and developing them, you're thinking about how you're measuring it and you're not going to have that impact. So kind of want to wrap this up here with just what do we do now? So as you leave this and you may be thinking about developing some metrics or utilizing some more metrics within your business or your teams, always consider those impacts. So consider the behavior change. So if I produce this metric or I ask for this metric, what behavior is it going to drive? And make sure that it's driving towards the correct behavior. Avoid those false positives I talked about. Make sure you're understanding opportunity. Avoid anything that's going to cause that undesirable behavior, like I talked about earlier. A good example in our business is reducing budget numbers can drive some what they'll call sandbagging. So I'm going to say I'm going to spend this so that I can meet a reduction number. You have to be very careful about that stuff and understand it. Take the time in the early stages with your teams, whether you're solving problems, whether you're setting goals, get full team engagement, take the right amount of time to understand what are the valuable metrics, what are the behaviors we want. Get help. Go out and ask people. A lot of times that neutral third party cold eye can give you some advice or see something you're not seeing as it results to the false positive undesirable behavior. And also there's people who really have great experience with metrics and have used them a lot. So don't be afraid to leverage those folks if you can. And also lastly, just here, understand not everything can be measured. So if it can't be measured, that's okay. Focus on those things that can, and the rest of that stuff will come together for you. So I hope you found this helpful. And if you need any help from me, please reach out. Thank you.